Okay, in this video we're going to take a look at a Marshall JCM2000 Dual Super Lead DSL-100 head. This is the 100 watt version of the Dual Super Lead. The customer was complaining that it was blowing the mains fuse, which is a 4 amp fuse. We will go through everything here and determine what the fault is and go from there. So stick around, and we'll at the end we'll also put some new tubes in this thing, power tubes, and bias it up and go through that procedure as well. So if that's something that you think you might find useful and informative, stick around and we'll go through it. Okay, we got a Marshall JCM2000 DSL-100 head on the bench today. I was blowing mains fuses, and we found the power transformer to have been at fault, so we've replaced it with a larger transformer from Classic Tone. And actually the iron in this are supposed to be about 30 something odd percent more iron, and it shows it's about 30% taller as well. But these do not come with these little quick disconnect ends, so if you buy one of these you have to clip off all these leads and solder some ends on yourself. That's a little bit time consuming, but it's about the only thing I don't like about that Classic Tone, but it's going to probably be a much better amp. But that was found at fault. Another thing that you want to watch out for with these is the impedance selecting switch. This is the impedance selector switch. You'll see. Let's see if I can get a shot of it from the back. Right here, switches from 4 to 8 ohms, and this is actually directly soldered to the board. So you know, your finger, if you put any inward pressure or any sideways pressure on this switch, it is going to wear out over time. And this was also found to have been at fault. I pulled all these boards out, and when I pulled this board out and looked at the bottom, we had some broken solder joints here. So I resoldered all the pins, all the joints, and just for good measure I went ahead and put some hot glue here to try to glue it to the face as much as I could to get some grip on there. So hopefully that won't happen. I mean, I think eventually it will probably happen again if you switch to that too much, but hopefully that little measure there will help. If you have one of these and it's blowing these fuses, this is one of the places to check. Unfortunately, we had to replace the power transformer as well, but since these were broken, I'd say that might have been a problem for a little while. But yeah, so those are a couple of things you can check if you're blowing mains fuses. Okay, we have this Marshall DSL-100 head all powered up. I'm actually using the old tubes in there, the old power tubes at least, and the old 12AX7s. You can barely see underneath there, the power tube's glowing. Everything's on. We're on the clean channel. If we come up here and look, you can see what it looks like with the Classic Tone all wired in. I did have one little issue. One of the little, let's see if I can get a pointer so I can point it out. There we go. Here's a pencil. One of the little blades right there actually broke off on me as I was trying to hook this thing back up. The legs were really fragile. I think one of the legs had already actually broken off at the factory because it wasn't even there. But here's the little guy that broke off on me. And what I ended up doing was I cut a piece of wire, and there's a panel on the back where the tubes sit, and you can lift that doghouse panel up and off, exposing the back of this board here. And took that off, exposed the back of the board, took a length of wire, ran it through and then bent it over and then ran it back through and then soldered both ends and then kind of simulated the little blade connector. But now, and these are the 6-volt windings right here, in case you're wondering. Let's see, these are this is like the 48-volt winding here. Here's 1/2 of the high voltage winding, and the other half goes up to this point, and then it goes through the standby. But you can get an idea what it looks like with the classic tone installed. Very very quiet right now. I actually have a cable plugged in and it's going to nowhere, just to kind of test whether or not I'm even getting a signal. Plugged into an 8-ohm cab there, just to test and see if I get a signal. We'll go over to the high gain channel here and turn the volume down. Yeah. So both channels work, and it looks to me as if we're pretty much home free on this. I'm going to put the new power tubes in and fire it up with those slowly on the Variac, and then we'll go ahead and check the bias and adjust it if necessary, and I think button it up and call it a day with this thing. So there it is. We'll check back one more time, but I think we're pretty much home free. Okay, here we are with our new JJ quad of matched EL34s installed. Here is our classic tone that you can see here. It's a lot taller than the original transformer. The original power transformer was about as tall as the output transformer. You can see how short it is by comparison. But at any rate, we have our probes connected here. There's a little 3-pin bias point back here on the back of the amp. If I can get focused in on it. What you do is you hook your black to the center pin, which is your common, and hook your red to each of the outer pins. I'm starting first with number 1, which is on the left hand side. I don't know if you can see them or not, but there are 2 small pots hidden in here, those little white things. There's one on this side, one on this side. They handle the 2 pairs of tubes, and have a service bulletin from Marshall, which tells me the millivolt settings for each of the DSL and TSL series amplifiers. We can see here the DSL-100 wants to be at 90 millivolts. Right now we are at 103 millivolts on this side, so we're going to take our screwdriver. Let me get a screwdriver out of here, and hopefully this one's small enough to do the deed. If not, I might have to pause this, and yeah, I'm going to have to pause this actually and get a smaller screwdriver. Let's see, I may not have to pause. Yeah, I'll go ahead and pause this and get a smaller screwdriver. Okay, I've got a small jeweler's screwdriver here now, and we're going to adjust this bias. And actually, I forgot to take the amp off of standby, so our actual millivolt reading is more like 26 millivolts right now. I'm going to turn the pot, and we'll see what happens. Let's see, right now we're going the wrong direction. Our service bulletin does say it needs to be at 90 millivolts for the DSL-100, so I'm going to turn it till we get to 90. It looked like we were pretty far off at the start. And we'll just keep turning it until we get up to 90 on this side. And I'm just kind of going slowly here. One thing I will say for the amp right now, it's extremely quiet. Well, that is all the way it can go. That's as far as it can possibly go to one side. And we are at 84 millivolts. So let's take our lead off and put it on the other side now and check that. Okay, we have moved our lead to the other side now, and checking the reading on this side, and it's only 6 millivolts. So we've got a long way to go on this one apparently. So I'm going to take my little jeweler's screwdriver on this side now and begin adjusting and see how close we can get it to what it calls for. You know, again, it's supposed to be 90 millivolts, so the way this was set, it was very, very far off. I mean, it was a completely different brand of tubes that were in here before, but yeah, this one's only going up to 71. And I think we have everything correct, but we're just not able to get to where we're supposed to be apparently. So don't know what's up with that. I'm going to pause this and do a little experimenting here and come back to it. Okay, I've gone ahead and set both pairs of these output tubes so that they are each pair is around 71 millivolts measured. This service bulletin is telling me that what's going on in this inside this little circuit here for the bias testing. They have let's see, pin 1 is connected to the cathode of the output tubes and then goes through a 1 ohm resistor then to ground. I think what has probably happened is this 1 ohm resistor has drifted, so that has thrown off our measurements somewhat, but we at least have the same measurement now on both pairs of tubes, so they are balanced. They are close at least to what they're supposed to be. I mean, they're off a bit, but we should be okay with this. But yeah, this is the service bulletin that you would need if you want to bias one of these, and this is the procedure. You can find this in all the schematics online. And they're actually, these schematics are kind of a pain in the ass to read because you have all these connections that go to another board, and the other boards are on different pages, so you have to have like 4 different pages to even look at the whole amp. So a bit of a pain in the ass, but worth it. These are pretty good sounding amps. I don't really like the construction insofar as the sockets are directly mounted to the board. Not a fan of that. If you watch my other videos, you probably know that already. I'm really not a fan of that. Over time, these are, if you change tubes really at all, those are going to have a tendency to break. You have to be really careful, and when you get your power tubes out especially, you want to make sure you use your fingers to spread these clamps really far, and you know, take each of these tubes out in a circular motion very slowly so that you're not herking and jerking on these tube sockets, and that's going to cause the solder joints to break, and you're just going to have to bust this thing open and have another big repair bill, or if you do it yourself, it's going to be a big pain in the ass to get down there to it and resolder everything. So I really don't like that, but the new power transformer is definitely improvement. Here is the classic tone that you'll need if you're going to do this. Let me see if I can actually get there we go. 40-18084 is the part number, and that's magnetic components, classic tone. You can look it up on their website. Again, that's about 30 to 40% bigger, that transformer, than the original one was, which has already gone to the recycle bin. Yeah, so this thing is ready to rock, and I think the customer's going to be happy. We may do a short demo video, we may not, I'm not really sure. So Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and hope to see you in the future.